Since the Independent National Electoral Commission blew the whistle to kick off political campaigns, Nigeria's political arena has been agog with activities 9 days to the general election. Many Nigerians are still not sure what some candidates would bring to the table if elected, despite the fact that they have been busy with their campaigns.
Now, ordinarily, during this pre-election season, candidates vying for various positions should be telling us what they have to do and what they hope to do to better the lives of Nigerians. But it has become a common feature on the pages of newspapers and at campaigns to find candidates and political parties taking a swipe at each other rather than focusing on issues of general interest. How many of them have revealed their plans on addressing the plethora of issues begging for solution in the country? Why have most of them remained mum on issues most important to Nigerians, such as food, shelter, health, transportation, education, security, and other basic human needs, which trump outrageous promises and propaganda statements?
Okay, well, TVC Breakfast sampled the opinions of Abuja and Kaduna residents on political campaigns and what they have been hearing from them.
They are not offering anything new. Like some people will say, everybody understands the problem of Nigeria. There is nobody who does not understand the problem of Nigeria. And these people have made these promises in the past, especially the two political parties. APC made some promises in the past in 2015. Some of them, we didn't see them fulfilled.
As the campaign progressed, gathers momentum, I'm beginning to see the two parties, the two leading parties, addressing the issues that concern Nigerians. The APC, for instance, have been making spirited effort to defend how they've been able to live up to the expectations on issues of security, anti-graft, anti-corruption, and the economy.
8 speeches. They are making 8 speeches their habit every day instead of giving us campaign. What am I going to do in terms of economy? What am I going to do in terms of job security? What am I going to do in terms of governance? They have not told us that. They are just telling us you went to US, they are just telling us he's a Jubril from Sudan, blah, blah, blah. We don't need that.
I think people are beginning to, or political parties are beginning to talk about specific issues that affect the ordinary Nigerian. People, the governing party, APC, is being tackled based on their records. The opposition is also being tackled by the governing party based on issues they raise on daily basis as they get on with the campaign.
Addressing the issues, those things that are key to the people of the state. What is dear to them, the basic expectations of government to the people. Those are the issues we're talking about.
It should be centered on what delivery you intend to give to the populace. It shouldn't be statements that will inflame conflicts and violence. One should stick to his programs and policies based on the manifestos of his parties.
Candidates to discuss their policies, their intention to govern the state, their intention to serve the people of the state, and also campaign derived of non-violence, non-hate speeches. Those are issues-based campaign.
When you say issue-based campaign, you have to propagate what your party means to offer to the citizens or to the country or state, wherever you are campaigning for.
Nigerians bearing their minds
there. Exactly.
Really
well, we have right here in the studio a lawyer, Jide Ologun, a familiar face recently on TVC Breakfast. Always a delight to have you on the show.
Good morning.
Okay, so people have been saying, where are the issues? The big elephant in the room seems to be the one that is being ignored in all of this. And it's just about 9 days to the election. And are you hearing
I think
about issues at all?
We need to change the concept. For me, it's not about issues campaign, but about returns on investment. In the private sector, you evaluate what you have invested, what your gains are, what your losses are, what you should do to prosper. You see, all the political parties have fantastic offers. Basically, the needs of society are broken down into about 5 major areas. You talk about health, you talk about education, you talk about the economy, you talk about security, you talk about housing, at the basic level. So how far have we done on this? And I think it is the fault of the people.
Okay.
If you look at Chapter 2 of the Nigerian Constitution, 1999 as amended, it talks about the fundamental objectives and, directive principles of state policy, which is focused on driving the economy sustainably to create, maximum welfare for the people. And again, it says that sovereignty belongs to the people. And that means the government derives the authority and power exercised over us through that power given by the people through the Constitution. So they are expected to deliver. But we have not been demanding that they deliver. And that is why, by default, failure has even become a fountain of promise into coming to office. Let me ask you a question. Why is it that at the age of 59 of our political independence, we have the highest number of children that are out of school, about 13.2 million,
yes,
according to UNICEF. And, as we speak now, we have spoken so much about our oil and gas. That is a principal resource in Nigeria, how we have managed it. Conclusively, recently, we still spend about 1.4 trillion naira annually on subsidy. Our refinery is not functioning. But let me now take us to California, which is a state in America.
Okay, you know what?
California does not have oil.
Before we go there, we have another guest.
Let's have joining us the chairman partners for Electoral Forum, Ezenwangwagu. Ezenwa, good morning. You're joining us from Abuja studio. Thank you for joining us right now. When it comes to the issue of issue-based campaigns, this is a very critical aspect of the electoral process as to the engagement, the social contract between those who are vying for any position and those who are the electorate. What are you hearing and what are you seeing? What are you assessing and analyzing from the candidates so far, from whatever level to whatever higher level, as the case may be?
Thank you. Our organization is Partners for Electoral Reform. For us, the bigger issues will not be what the politicians are saying. And the reason for that is not far from the fact that significantly what we have had is broken promises and all of that. So, and the concern then will be, what are the problems and concerns of citizens that are taken on board? Are we having citizen chatter around these elections? We've usually have politicians come to us and say X, Y, Z. So somebody says he will continue the privatization agenda, he will sell everything. We are not, as a community of citizens, we've seen privatization. Are we getting the benefits? Like Jide said in your studio, are we getting the benefits of privatization? What new thinking do we have to have? Do we have the education community, for instance, bring politicians and say 13 million out of school children? How do you specifically want to address these issues? We're not going to hear that. We're going to see vague issues around education, vague issues around the economy, vague issues around transportation. But each of these communities, when I talk about community, I'm talking about perhaps Nigerian Medical Association engaging politicians around basic health issues. We're not seeing that conversation going on. So you are going to allow politicians to directly dictate the narrative. And when they dictate the narrative, whether it is the position party or the opposition party, it's about promises. It's about catching the imagination of citizens to put them in power and eventually not fulfilling all of those promises.
Okay, all right, let's bring it back
what
to...
I'm hearing,
Yes.
hearing is the same things that I've heard. If you do a content analysis, media content analysis of elections from 2011, 2015, 2019, you are not going to see new issues. The issues are still basic, but what is important is how much are communities able to engage politicians and reframe the narrative by themselves.
Okay, back to Jide right here in the studio. So policy versus promises.
Yeah.
That, I mean, the people themselves, the electorate, are we equipped enough in such a way that we can actually make those demands?
We are
that
not.
you talk
That's my
about?
concern. That's what he just said. Politicians, it's their own trade and business to make promises. It's our business to ensure that they deliver on the promises. I was talking about the economic...
But should we be talking about promises or policies?
I'm entering into that now.
Okay, good.
Look at the economic policies we have. As we speak now, I'm disturbed that there was a contract of $5.1 billion to search for oil in the Chad Basin. By the way, Nigeria is not the only country controlling the Chad Basin. We have several issues. Recently, there was an attempt to go in there. The Boko Haram killed even lecturers and wasted lives. That aspect is there. Now we have this oil and gas in abundant deposit in a part of the country. I was talking about California. California has no oil. By the latest conclusion of research, California, as a state in the U.S., is the 5th largest economy in the whole world. They embark on tourism, education, IT, they have the salad bowl, agriculture, name it. And those potentials are developed. And you want to talk about oil, you go to Texas. And as a country, America has not less than 130 refineries. In fact, they have not even engaged the full potential of the resources they have. And this is a country that has about 20-year food security in advance. So we are talking about how well have we developed. So, and that brings me back to the chapter 2 of our constitution that I mentioned. If you look at chapter 2, the one critical thing, I think in section 15, is that the motto of Nigeria shall be unity and faith, peace and progress. Are we united in this country? And permit me to quote the scriptures. Amos chapter 3 verse 3 says, can't you walk together except they be agreed? And obviously, we are not in agreement as a people.
Is that the bane of the issue?
Yeah.
It's a fundamental issue because if I am not in the same boat with you, if I'm not on the same page with you, I'll be out to frustrate your effort.
But
and
is
that
it really
brings us to
the people that are not united, or is it the political class that seems to take advantage of this perception that Nigerians are not united?
In psychology, in philosophy, in sociology, a king is on the throne because the people have allowed him to sit on that throne. It's all about the people. It's all about the people. If the people demand what they're entitled to, they get it. My Murdoch said, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. Why are some comfortable with, relegating education in this country? Because they will have a huge population of idle, uneducated people to go into political thuggery. Yeah. How much will you pay me now to go into political thuggery? I've had the privilege of being educated.
Okay,
I can stand on my own and add value to the society.
All right, let me bring. Sorry, because of the time.
Yes.
Let me bring Ezenwa here. Now, Ezenwa, what Jide is saying is he's talking about the issue of the lack of proper unity that has not made Nigeria a nation in that context. If we cast our minds back to the founding fathers of Nigeria, from the First Republic to Second Republic, the same issues they campaigned with: the provision of roads, schools, hospitals, power, housing, is still the same thing that we're campaigning today, 59 years after. And he said, he's also talking about the part that Nigerians are not taking that role of demanding from their leaders. But what is the role of leaders inspiring that change? If we make comparison between some countries that we were at par in the 60s,
yeah.
Brazil, India, and the others, they have all gone far ahead. Nigeria is still here. What do you think should be done in this regard from where we stand right now?
Well, I agree with Jude that citizen consciousness needs to be awakened, but I also think that it's elite pastime to always talk about unity. They are very united in putting their dirty hands in the common patrimony and in the public till. There are no tribal marks when it comes to the attitude of the ruling elites to really deal with the resources of the people. So whether it is in the north or in the south or in the west, you have seen leadership deficits. You have seen people, criminally shortchanging the people. And this unity, the lack of tribal marks when it comes to this is a clear issue. So what needs to happen is that election by itself does not bring development. What brings development is the activity and action of the people. After the elections, did we track what they said? We have housing deficits. Who has told us the number of houses that will be constructed when they are elected? Are we tracking? Are we following issues around health? Are we, as citizens, can we hold people accountable? There is a place in Enugu State where the citizens themselves followed their budget and found out that the member representing them was supposed to construct a new health center. He decided to do renovation. They held him accountable. He had to build a new hospital. Yeah. What is important is that we need the people down are united. The elites are the ones who use the tool of disunity. They use the tool of religion. They use the tool of whatever it is that divide to ensure that the people don't come together. All right, but for us to lift ourselves above all of those things, yes.
Jude has the last word. How can we achieve the goal of our dreams, that nation that we desire, considering that Nigeria really has all it takes?
Let me address the
very quickly,
like you brilliantly mentioned. They are united in holding Nigeria down. But this will end in vanity. They will leave all these things. But what value would you have added to society? Right now, if you know the level of investment the UAE is pulling to that region, you talk about Singapore, you talk about Canada, and it's for the benefit of all. I have observed that even the high and mighty that some Nigerians envy are so troubled if you are close to them in their private lives because they don't have peace. I mean, and that is why even when they move, you notice it. I doubt how many of them can walk into any market in Nigeria without their mobile policemen and all those things. Why should life be that way? We have met great people in the US or in shops and, they live normal lives and they can easily resign from office because they stand to lose nothing. And on the side of the electorates, the holders of the mandate, sovereignty, they should engage the government. I so much love what we are doing this morning. Don't let us wait till elections are coming and you start coming out. Some of us have been doing that. I can tell you what we started with in 2015 when this government came in. It was the rule of law. And that was when the case of IPOP came, whether they were going to be violent or not. Some of us have engaged consistently because we are interested. We know what we are entitled to. So let the people, recently I saw people collecting toothpaste, collecting branded clothes from politicians without bring God's education, health, prosperity.
Jide, we have to look for more time to talk about this. We're heading towards election, so there'll be forum for us to dwell on some of these things so we can create more consciousness. Jide Logun, thank you very much for coming on the program.
God bless Nigeria.
And we also thank Ezenwawagu, Chairman of the Partners for Electoral Reform, joining us from our Abuja studio. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the program.
Okay. Just 10 days. No, 9 days actually.
9 days actually.
9 days to the general election. And you know the number of 9 is actually the number of rebirth. Will Nigeria miss the opportunity or will we take the ballot and cast our vote come February 16th?
So, reminder to you, have you gotten your permanent voter cards? It's something you have to do as part of your duty to Nigeria as a citizen. And just before we go, we need to let you know that the views and reaction of our resource persons on the programs and topics we discussed today are their views that have no connection with TVC News. We have to let you know that. Thank you very much for spending your morning with us. Tomorrow, we'll be here again. I am Mike Okwoche.
And I'm Ngozi Alebu. See you again soon.